I thank the gentlelady. Mr. Donahue, you work with SLB as one of the only spheres in which big tech operates alongside geologists. You said it in your opening statement. Well, big tech can get a bad connotation, and for good reasons. Can you tell us about the safeguards that you have implemented to ensure that your AI technology is used responsibly and effectively amid these big tech concerns?
It's a great question. I'd like to, in this moment, give a shout out to one of our founders. Anthony Corso was the executive director at AI Safety at Stanford. Safety is core to what we're doing. You can't be wrong very often in mining. You can't predict something that's not realistic. So some of the safeguards we have in place to ensure that our models are safe, and in this case, realistic, like they're actually producing geologies that make sense, are we continuously filter them. We're continuously improving them and ensuring that the predictions we are making are actually matching the geophysics that we observe in the real deposit out in the real world. We're producing thousands of these models, and so we have to continuously measure them and match them and ensure that we're not predicting something, out of left field, as you could say.
Oh, way cool.
I'd add one more. We also, when we do drill planning, always ensure that our AI has keep out zones around areas where you are not supposed to be drilling. So we have, we want to optimize a drill campaign. Let's not have our AI recommend a drill target in the middle of a town or a road, for instance. So that's another way.
Well, another question with data centers. We have Western Phoenix, and it seems like every weekend we have a new data center up and running. Do you use copper, silver, gold, and antimony for these centers?
Yes, we do. We use quite a few minerals. We use gold, silver, palladium, copper, rare earths, barium, gallium, indium, niobium, antimony, tantalum, titanium, tungsten. Many of these, the requirements for one of the data centers that companies like OpenAI and Anthropic are trying to build, whose compute we are sometimes using. We're using these data centers for compute. The requirements from the metal side are in some cases the annual output of a smaller, medium-sized mine. This is significant metal demand. And many of these metals, such as gallium, indium, niobium, antimony, tantalum, and tungsten, we don't produce much of or any of in the United States. So this relationship between AI data center demand and mining is only being characterized now. And it's hard to predict how big AI is going to be, but we know that we're going to need a lot more mining to supply it.
So continuing along those same lines, to bolster supply chains, chain reliance, do you agree that the U.S. should mine uranium domestically instead of relying on adversaries like China and Russia?
Absolutely.
And the symbiotic relationship between the big nuclear facilities and the small modulars are compatible.
Sorry, could you repeat the question, sir?
Yeah, so big nuclear facilities with these small modular nuclears, they feed off each other.
Correct. I mean, small modular reactors are an amazing innovation coming out of America right now.
Well, luckily in Arizona, we got both of those coming our way. Mr. Lugansky, SLB is a leader in the new mining technology to supply electric grid, and you know well electric transmission requires copper and rare earths. Now, why has China been so successful in that mining processes? Is it money? Is it just that they have they have a bigger hold on it than we do, and they can take and extort different companies? Give us some more background.
Thank you for the question. Look, as I mentioned, when somebody is investing $5 to $10 billion into a mine, they want to make sure that the outcomes are certain. And I think this is the conservatism in the mining industry has been as an adoption of new technologies because of some uncertainties of outcome with some of the new technologies. And this is where we were trying to overcome this as an example in the lithium space, where we have developed an integrated well-to-product solution for lithium extraction using direct lithium technologies as well as other adjacent technologies to produce an efficient, economic, and sustainable process. This process we tested, and we achieved not only high yield of recovery, 95% with 99% of rejection of impurities, but also extremely high sustainability index. We used only 5% of chemicals compared to the traditional methods. We were reinjecting 95% of the water, while this water would be normally used in the traditional methods. And we worked very closely with the Nevada Department of Environmental Protection to send 112 water samples to them for validation before any action to reinject took place. So all of this says that in order for us to bring these new technologies to the market, we need to use innovation, but we also need to bring certainty to these investors.
Now, you brought up an interesting point here about water. So I want to go to water. So some mining aspects, you can actually clean water, right? Can you give me a little dictation on that, how that works?
So in mining, as in any extraction, you, first of all, as you're going through the geological formation, you will go through aquifers. And so you need to make sure that you protect those aquifers from either getting inside your mine or inside your well, et cetera. So you need to bring all the expertise, and in this case, SLB has with produced water, basically how to pump that water out, test that water, make sure that you're not changing the composition of that water as it reinjected in the same aquifer, and create a circulation systems. We do that in oil and gas, and we do that in mining. And I think this is what I speak about, the cross-industry collaboration, is how can we bring that expertise to mining. In oil and gas, sometimes we treat 9 gallons of water for each gallon of oil, which means that we're basically a mega water treatment facility in the production of oil. Same thing happens in mining and metals production. So that is where we want to bring that water expertise to the forefront of the solutions.
Interesting. So now in my district, or my old district, we have an in situ copper collection in Florence, Arizona. And it's worked really, really well. So I mean, but they were very, very careful in that aspect. So pretty interesting. Now you use a lot of water with, if I'm not mistaken, with your lithium, right? Concentrations?
In case of our lithium solution, as I said, we actually return 95% of the water back to the original source. So we process huge amounts, in our demonstration plant, which is about 1/20th of what the industrial facility will be. We processed 100 gallons per minute of water, but then, as I said, 95 gallons of it per minute went back. And in situ mining, one of the things that you're mentioning is the protection of the water resource. And that is, again, where we are using different techniques from our understanding of geological formation to make sure that leaching agent that you're inserting into the ground is not leaked outside of the channels that you have created. And we're currently funding internal program to look at all kinds of protection technologies that can be used in situ leaching, and working closely with the mining community with very big copper production companies, where we can test it first on the ground in their leaching pads, but then also get permit and test it in the actual production.
Doctor, would you agree with that? I'm talking to you, doctors. Go back. Would you agree with his assessment?
So I think it's an exciting opportunity as we look at in situ mining and how water conservation and water purification technologies can come together. A lot of this, as mentioned, comes down to the degree of understanding of the subsurface and the controls systems that are in place. And so validating that with the data is absolutely essential. We're excited about the potential that in situ mining represents, and it's one of the innovative approaches that we are pursuing together with corporate partners as well as a university, as we're looking at the combination of how we educate the next generation of people involved in the mining and processing sectors, and also bringing together all of the understanding of the geosciences, our close partnership with the U.S. Geological Survey, and environmental protection.
Well, you know, I've been to mines over and over again, and I can tell you, you know, one of the things I look at is the opportunity maybe to make these big smelters are roadways, where you're actually utilizing the roadway to collect the copper residue. So pretty interesting what's really occurring. I think there's great areas, like I have Buckeye, Arizona in my district. Why is that important? It's got one of the largest aquifers, or big lakes, called the Husquehala there. It can't be used because of heavy metals and arsenic and lots of those aspects. So looking at how you purify that by using a technique would be very fabulous to me to look at that. As you can tell, I got more questions I'm going to ask. Mr. Condura, you touched on processing in your testimony. Refining and processing are the key components we must shift to the domestic theater, which also means more American jobs. Do you know how many copper smelters there are in the U.S.?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chairman. I do not.
There's really 2 operational, but there's really 3. Do you know how many China has?
I do not.
202. These are great paying jobs. And with these advanced reclamation systems, they're closed loop. And we should be able to push this thing through so that we can actually have some dominance in this area. But these are good paying jobs. And now that they're closed loop and they're getting smaller and better at this, where they're getting everything off using electrolysis and surfactants, it's amazing that we ought to be doing this more often. Okay. Can you briefly tell me a little bit more about these rare earths? I believe they're all, if they're heavy or light, they're all radioactive.
Thank you for the question. My understanding is not all of them are radioactive. Some of them are, depending on where you mine them from, but there are a substantive portion of them that are radioactive.
Okay, so if technology came about, and this is, I agree with everybody, technology is going to be our way out of this. If there was a material that actually could absorb certain materials and then squeegee it out and reuse it again, would that be of benefit to the industry, Doctor?
It is such an important area for us to be able to absorb and then reutilize materials. And so we see applications in many fields, including in the mining sector, of those types of technologies, absolutely.
One of the things I'll tell you that I think is very problematic for us is our patent process, because it's first to file instead of first to discover. And since we went that way, we have destroyed the entrepreneur. We really have, because now you have to defend yourself in the PTAB board. And mining is no different. Mining is no different on that. So I'll also put that patent. Now, I'm going to stop right there because about the same time is given.